Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the second episode of the story in which Hiruzen takes charge and finds a way to fulfill Minato's dying wish. Much has changed in the Narutoverse since the clan heads and Danzo have joined forces to train Naruto. Naruto accepts his parents' and clan's final wish to bring peace to the elemental nations. Join our smarter and more OP blonde knucklehead on his unique path to peace. This story is from Bjtakuch. Please support him. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. Unprecedented growth. If anyone asked Naruto why he trained so hard, they would receive a smirk from the blonde. He would point at them and say, "Because I got to protect everyone. Once I have done that, I am going to be the Hokage, Dadabayo. After I become the Hokage, I am going to bring peace to the ninja world." He gave this answer to each of his trainers, the Hokage and each of the clan leaders. They had all gathered to watch Naruto's progress test on his 9th birthday. The blonde had worked hard over the past year in all aspects of his training. As Naruto was stretching and preparing to fight some guy the Hokage appointed, Naruto reflected on the past year. Tsunade held to her promise with Naruto. After Naruto showed off his shadow clones to Tsunade, she would have him create as many shadow clones as he could while still being able to make it through his training. It started with 3 clones and grew to be 50 clones, his current limit. Naruto would have his clones focus on 3 areas. One group of clones would focus on chakra control. This group would be seen sitting on the water, attached to trees and trying to keep leaves stuck on various points of their bodies. You know, typical chakra control stuff. Naruto was extremely happy he could put this work off on his Kage Bunshin. The next group would be seen reviewing medical texts. Since Naruto's mind had matured rapidly, he was starting to soak in the medical knowledge. He earned his field medicine certification from Shizen. The last group was attempting to incorporate chakra control into their taijutsu. The many fist-sized holes and missing bark that marred the trees around the Namikaze training ground were testament to this. Finally, Naruto himself would go with Tsunade with the remainder of his chakra and endured her physical training. This included spars, tasks like throwing boulders 3 times his weight and other various absurdities. The density of Naruto's chakra allowed the boy to strengthen his body to absurd proportions. When the Hokage was watching through his crystal ball and witnessed Naruto pick up a 300-pound stone, then Naruto threw said stone 20 feet. The Hokage's pipe fell out of his mouth and then the old man fell out of his chair. Needless to say, this training was working for Naruto. On Tuesdays, instead of 1 Hyuga, Naruto would get 2 or 3 of them at the same time. Neji and Hinata loved tagging along as well. When Hayashi turned up to a training session and saw 5 Narutos going through katas, he knew that he would have to step up the training. He started bringing multiple members and dividing up Naruto's studies. When Naruto told him that he received the clone's muscle memory, Hayashi would start each training session with a progressively larger number of shadow clones doing katas. Hayashi and Hizashi became accustomed to walking down rows of clones doing katas and pointing out mistakes. When Naruto shared his mother's whirlwind fist scroll and his father's hummingbird fist scroll with the Hyuga and asked them to help train Naruto in the katas, they both agreed. These training sessions evolved into clones being divided into squads and each squad had a head clone and would study one taijutsu style. And how Naruto devised the squad leader concept will be covered later. After an hour of katas, clones would break up with their Hyuga instructors and cover aspects other than the shinobi arts. Hitomi was Naruto's champion. She would provide scrolls on political etiquette, every day, how-tos like how to cook, clean and organize. Hizashi was a previous member of ANBU tracking and capture team, he taught Naruto how to track and avoid being tracked. In 1 year, Hayashi was floored by the blonde's progress. It got to the point that Naruto would spar with Neji, Hinata and one of the 2 Hyuga twins at the same time. Neji was infuriated that Naruto could beat him with a single shadow clone. He was a Hyuga for Kamisake and everyone in the clan said he was a prodigy. Finally, a week before Naruto's 9-year-old progress test, Neji hit his boiling point and blew up on Naruto. That's it. I am done training with you. I cannot even beat a Kagebunshin, screamed out a frustrated Neji. This paused the other spars and drew Hizashi over. Naruto felt bad, he knew the advantage he had over Neji. Neji, don't think about like that. I am not just some kid, I have been trained by Konoha's best for the past 5 years. I am approaching Jonin level. I value your friendship and want to continue training with you. Neji's hair shadowed his face. He couldn't let his frustration show anymore. However, when he looked up into Naruto's deep and genuine azure eyes, the frustration returned in spades. Naruto, I don't know why you are so special. I know you are strong, but last year we were on an even footing. Now I can't even land a hit on you. You were my rival, but now you are so far ahead I can't even see you anymore. Neji, please. No, Naruto-san. I am done training with you. Next time you see me, I will be stronger. I will beat you. Until that day, I do not wish to continue training with you. Naruto was dejected. He had bonded with Neji so much over the years. The training sessions were his link to Neji because that was their common interest. Through the training, Naruto had learned of Neji's struggles in the Hyuga clan. Neji had opened up to Naruto about his feelings of resentment toward the main house. Just like everyone Naruto's light touched, Neji's resentment had dwindled over the years and turned into a firm resolve to change his fate. Naruto didn't want to lose his friend and rival. The Naruto clone pleaded with Neji. He even offered Neji his training methods and seals, but the stubborn Hyuga boy couldn't be turned. He walked off the training grounds. Naruto's clone didn't want to deal with the pain, so it dispelled. The real Naruto was in the middle of a usual set when he caught the clone's memories. He stopped running and stood there panting, looking toward the compound's gates. Hizashi had caught the real Naruto and told him that he would talk to Neji. Hinata had walked over and tried to comfort him. Even the kind and gentle words of Hinata couldn't comfort Naruto. He just ran off and put his efforts into his physical workout that night. Tsunade had to carry a passed-out Naruto to his room and hope the boy would be able to move past it. Naruto hasn't seen Neji since then and Neji didn't show up to watch his field test. Wednesdays became a Naruto's hardest day. When Danzo showed up to 5 Narutos meditating, he was floored. The boy could use Kagebunshin at this age? Oh, yes, I can use this, thought Danzo as the corner of his lips lifted into a sadistic smirk. Danzo knew the boy had fire and wind affinities. Naruto had long since mastered the stage 1 elemental chakra control drills. Naruto had massacred those poor leaves by the hundreds while learning to control his elements. Now, Naruto started his training sessions by massacring leaves by the thousands. Danzo had to have an ANBU come out and replace the bare trees every couple of months. The poor, inanimate vertical logs didn't stand a chance against a growing horde of shadow clones that were learning their elements. Danzo started each training session with stage 2 chakra control. The cuts from the out-of-control wind and the burns from fire always left Naruto a sight after his first hour of weekly training with Danzo. Remarkably, the boy would heal the wounds in less than an hour and continue with his training. Through use of the clones, Naruto had mastered the Gale Palm, Wind Cutter, and Great Breakthrough techniques. The Gale Palm is a crank technique where Naruto gathers wind chakra to his hands and slams them together. This creates a blunt force wind that Naruto uses to accelerate his thrown shuriken and kunai. The Great Breakthrough is supposed to be a crank technique where the user gathers wind chakra in their lungs and expels it over a wide area. This is a wide area, mid-ranged attack that Naruto has been taught to create openings or strengthen his fire jutsu. It should be noted that the damage produced by this technique when Naruto mastered it made Danzo say that it easily reached rank The wind cutter is a branch that creates one or multiple blades of air. This is a slicing and lethal technique that can be launched from a distance. The further away the target, the less sharp the air blade is. Currently, Naruto can easily cut through a tree with his wind cutter if he creates a single blade. If he creates multiple blades, the technique loses penetration the more he creates. His prowess in wind manipulation brought a twinkle to Danzo's eye. He was so pleased that he swallowed his pride all those years ago and compromised with Hiruzen. Now he was responsible for one of the strongest weapons ever created by Konoha. Over the years, Danzo changed for the better. Naruto used to get a dark and dirty feeling from Danzo's chakra. Now, it felt like a shadow. Not as dirty and tainted as it used to. For Danzo himself, he had caught himself smiling and he even came dangerously close to laughing. Don't get it twisted, Danzo used to laugh, but it was more of a dark chuckle when he brought his opponents to their knees. However, Danzo felt happy when he spent time around Naruto. It was weird to everyone that had known the man over the years. He had even gotten a joke over on Hiruzen last month. The look on his old rival's face when Hiruzen realized Danzo was fucking with him was priceless. Naturally, Danzo informed Torian of his plans ahead of time. So, when Torian captured the Hokage's incredulous face on camera, Danzo took the picture and hung it in his office. Danzo still insisted on keeping the roots of the great tree trimmed though. He would let Hiruzen have the light. Naruto would be the trunk that Danzo planned on linking the roots to the trees that basked in the light. Thursdays with the Uchiha consisted of training by Fugaku. He would often bring Sasuke and even Mikoto to the training sessions. When Mikoto had heard about Naruto's prodigious talent, she had to see her best friend's child for herself. When she witnessed the effect Naruto had on Fugaku, she insisted on being part of Naruto's training. Although she was inactive for many years, since Itachi's birth, she was still a formidable kunoichi in her own right. The two senior Uchiha would train the boys on fire jutsu. It was an Uchiha specialty after all. When they witnessed Naruto's training program with shadow clones, things accelerated. Fugaku had Naruto manipulating flames for his stage 2 training. After Naruto burned through his 5th shirt, he just stopped wearing them to fire training. Naruto's fire manipulation stage 2 training would be expanding the flames of matches until they were the size of fireballs or shrinking a campfire flame down to the size of a pool ball. It was hard training that took Naruto 8 months of the year to truly master. After Naruto's elemental control training came meditation and then fire jutsu training. Naruto absorbed fire jutsu much like he did wind. He found out from the Kyuubi that fire was its element, and since Naruto had been purifying the Kyuubi's chakra since birth, he had an incredibly high affinity to the fire element. Sasuke adopted a similar attitude to Neji. When he saw Naruto speeding past him, he grew frustrated, and the training became counterproductive for him. He would still come to the training since it was pretty much the only time that he was guaranteed Fugaku's attention. However, at the earliest opportunity he always got out of sight of the horde of Naruto clones that were practicing. It was just too frustrating to see somebody his age leaving him in the dust. He already had an inferiority complex from Itachi, now Naruto compounded that. Sasuke was just glad that Naruto didn't come to the academy, otherwise he would never get recognition as the best. Naruto's fire jutsu grew from Fugaku's training. The man insisted on complete mastery before Naruto learned another technique. Fugaku defined complete mastery as being able to use the jutsu with 3 or less hand signs. With the Great Fireball jutsu, it took Naruto a month to get it down to 1 hand sign. It was a basic fire jutsu, so Fugaku insisted on Naruto using the technique with just the tiger hand sign. This was tricky because the Great Fireball jutsu consisted of inhaling, holding the air in your lungs and infusing the right amount of fire chakra into the air while in the lungs. Too much and you would burn the lungs, too little and the flame wouldn't ignite upon release. Naruto had a sore throat that whole month. The next problem of using one-hand sign came because it made it more difficult for shape manipulation. Sure, just using the tiger hand sign could convert chakra into a fire nature, but Naruto struggled on getting it to hold its form and hit his target. As Naruto's fire mastery improved, so did his control over shape and accuracy. After demonstrating mastery of the Great Fireball, Fugaku taught Naruto the Fire Flower Jutsu. This is a jutsu that can spit out multiple, smaller fireballs. It is a mid-range jutsu that is typically used to trap or guide enemies into an advantageous position. By then end of the year, Naruto had gotten this jutsu down to two-hand signs, boar and then tiger. Naruto ended this year of training with the Uchihas giving him a scroll 4, fire-style flamethrower jutsu. This is the user spitting a continuous stream of fire at the target. The stream can be narrow with intensely high heat or wider with less intense heat. It all depends on how much chakra the user puts into the technique and how the user shapes their lips to guide the chakra. At this time, Fugaku said that was all he could teach Naruto, because the rest were clan techniques. Fugaku also had to break off lessons because the Hokage's mission was reaching a critical juncture and he needed to focus on that. The week before Naruto's test, Naruto had bowed low to all Uchihas present and thanked them profusely for their time, training, and for being there for him. The feeling was mutual for all Uchihas except Sasuke. Now before we get to Fridays, a couple of things happened to Naruto that need to be addressed. The first major realization that Naruto has was that processing the memories of multiple shadow clones was dangerous, with a capital D. When it was just a couple of clones training for a couple of hours, it hurt when he dispelled them. However, when Naruto grew into the technique and summoned 30 clones with Tsunade and had them reading medical books and practicing their healing jutsu for 8 hours and he dispelled them all at once, Pain so bad surged through Naruto's head that he passed out immediately and didn't wake up for 6 hours. Tsunade then told Naruto to dispel them one at a time. However, when he dispelled each clone, Naruto had to process the memories. It became seriously annoying when Naruto had to sit around for an hour after training just to understand what his clones did that day. Then an idea came to him that he ran by Tsunade. Bakon, what if I supercharge a shadow clone and have it make the other clones? Will I still have to deal with this headache? Tsunade was intrigued. She occasionally used shadow clones, but never in the number Naruto did and never for training. I don't know, brat. While I am here, why don't you give it a try for this training session? Thanks, Bakon. I know I can count on you to keep me alive if this backfires, said Naruto with more than a little trepidation. Tsunade returned his comment with a wry smile and waved her hand, telling him to proceed. That day, Naruto created 3 clone captains, and gave each of them about a quarter of his chakra. Each captain created 9 clones and divided up into their usual groups. Naruto completed his daily training and gave instructions to his captains. Each captain had the clones dispel one by one. Since the captains were the ones that created the clones, the memories didn't immediately return to the original Naruto. Instead, the memories went to the captains. Tsunade instructed the captains to do their best to process and synchronize the information. After 10 minutes, one by one the captains nodded to Naruto. The first captain dispelled, and Naruto felt the surge of information and fatigue. But he had to guess. It was about half the normal strain from the many clones training all day. He nodded to the next captain and was once again hit. After the final captain dispelled, Naruto was visibly tired, but he felt like he had a better understanding of what the clones learned, and he wasn't as tired as usual. From that day forward, Naruto used the clone captain method in his training, which reduced the strain on Naruto and increased his growth rate even further. It should be noted that due to the time spent learning and the collective experiences of his clones, Tsunade deduced that Naruto's mental maturity was accelerated. The boy became noticeably more mature in the way he handled himself. Not only did he reduce his databeo outbursts by February 3rd, but he carried himself in a way that was odd for an 8-year-old. Not bad, but odd for sure. Jiraiya only made it back 3 times that year. His hunt for the masked man and Orochimaru kept him occupied outside of the village. Tsunade missed her goofy partner and Naruto wanted Jiraiya's feedback and instruction on seals. He hit a snag at Uzumaki Fuinjutsu level 4. This level covered the introduction to seal layering and applying seals directly on the body. Naruto was a bold and courageous child, but he dares not disregard all the warnings in his scrolls not to do any body sealing without the supervision of a Fuinjutsu master to proof the work. Unfortunately, Jiraiya was the only such seal master in Konoha. So, after 3 months of access to his family scrolls, Naruto was ecstatic to see Jiraiya return. That was until the old pervert blew Naruto off completely, scooped Tsunade into his arms and didn't leave their room for 2 days. When Jiraiya came down to breakfast on the 3rd day, he completely missed the frustration on Naruto's face. It didn't help that Naruto had a perverted old fox in his head that kept alluding to what Jiraiya and Tsunade were doing. Tsunade was practically Naruto's mom, so the repeated images the fox gave him were less than welcome. So, when a yawning Jiraiya entered the kitchen, he wasn't ready to deal with this version of Naruto. "Oi, Kyofu, what gives? I haven't seen you for 3 months and you blow me off for 2 days, screamed a frustrated blonde. Jiraiya seemed to giggle and get a faraway look in his eyes at the word blow. Yes, all degenerates know where Jiraiya's mind went. Relax, Gaki. I had 3 months of steam to blow off. Well, Kyofu, I have been stuck at level 4 because you haven't shown up in so long. I need you to test me so I can move on. Alright, Gaki. Calm down. I just woke up. Let me get some breakfast and you can show me what you have learned. Then I will test you. After a tense breakfast, Jiraiya went down to Minato's study with Naruto where he saw Naruto's seals laid out for him to inspect. It is clear that the kid prepared for this, thought Jiraiya. I guess I know why he was so antsy. He then picked up and inspected Naruto's seals. For his layering test, Naruto labeled a fire-natured chakra seal over an enhanced storage seal. Naruto created a clone that took the seal into the training area and held it out in front of him. With one hand sign, Naruto took a deep breath and blew out a fireball. The clone yelled, Katanfuin. The seal activated and sucked the fireball into the seal. The kanji for fire turned from black into red to indicate that the storage seal was full. The clone then handed the paper to Jiraiya, who inspected the seal again. Good work, Gaki. I have done some seals like this in the past. I would say this one gets a pass. You will need to work on a release method for the jutsu, so the seal doesn't spontaneously combust, but it is a passable layered seal. Naruto beamed with pride and moved on to the next seal. After inspecting and testing multiple seals, Jiraiya asked, So what do you need me for, Gaki? All of these are in working order. Naruto tossed the Fuinjutsu level 4 book at him and pointed to the final test and the note that said it should only be done in the presence of a Fuinjutsu level 6 or above master. Ah, okay Gaki. What seal are you going to try? I want a basic storage seal on each wrist. I have prepared the ink by infusing it with my blood and chakra, but I didn't want to do it without you here. Good, Gaki. Go ahead. Naruto created 2 clones that took up brushes and ink. Naruto held out his hands, wrists up. He wanted to ink on storage seals for kunai and shuriken respectively. This would allow his to always be armed and able to respond rapidly to threats. The clones finished drawing the seals and moved back for Jiraiya to inspect. He took a minute looking at each seal and gave a nod of approval. Okay, Gaki. Have your clones activate the seals and then try sealing these kunai into your right wrist. The clones moved forward and did so. Then Naruto sealed the kunai and looked up to Jiraiya. Congratulations, Naruto. You are now a level 4 seal master. It was the access to the level 5 Uzumaki Fuinjutsu that exposed Naruto to gravity and weight seals and deployable barriers. This too had to wait until the next time Jiraiya was in town, but it was the seals that led to the next quantum leap in Naruto's training. Fridays were a new addition to Naruto's training. This day was dedicated solely toward deepening his bond with the Kyuubi and learning from him. Naruto shook his head as he remembered going into his mindscape to visit the Kyuubi 2 weeks after their initial meeting. Flashback, Naruto had trained and asked each of his instructors how they would handle his request for the Kyuubi. Tsunade, Tsubaki, and Hiruzen all fell on the hesitant side of the approach. They didn't know how to feel about the Kyuubi or if it could be trusted to honor any promise. Hell, they just learned the Kyuubi was sentient 2 weeks ago. The Hyuga advised treating the Kyuubi with respect. Hayashi picked up on the creature's proud nature through Naruto's recounting of their initial meeting. Danzo said to ask to use its power, no surprise there. Mikoto, Fugaku, and Shursui wanted Naruto to apologize on behalf of the Uchiha and encouraged caution. Any being as proud and powerful as the Kyuubi needed to be approached with caution. Jiraiya told Naruto to ask it what he could do to earn its cooperation. This approach seemed like the most attractive approach to the fated pair. Thus, after meditating and thinking about how he should approach the Kyuubi, Naruto firmed his resolve and sank into his mindscape. He walked through the hallway noticing the doors that seemed to be growing in number. He had doors now labeled Fire Jutsu, Wind Jutsu, Fuinjutsu, and different variations of his taijutsu. It filled him with pride to see the visual representation of his growth. Finally, he got to the door to the Kyuubi's chamber. He took a deep breath and entered. The auditorium and cage were already lit, as if the Kyuubi had been expecting him. He couldn't help but marvel at the massive fox. Each nail of its claws was still twice his size. The Biju was once again resting its head on its paws, but its eyes were tracking him as he approached the cage. Naruto noticed a new addition to the cage now that it was properly lit. In the middle of the cage appeared a metal representation of the Shinigami. Intricate ceiling created the image of this god, in all his ghastly glory. A gust of air from the Kyuubi's massive snout brought Naruto back to his purpose for being here. He stopped right in front of the massive cage and commenced the conversation. He bowed to the Kyuubi in a formal manner that would make Hitomi proud. Hello again, Kyuubi-sama. I wanted to properly introduce myself before we start our conversation. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. Naruto paused here as a low growl emanated from the fox's throat at the name of his father. Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat and continued, I like training to get stronger, all the people that make my life worth living and ramen. I dislike judgmental people, traitors, and those who seek to control others. My goal is to become strong enough to protect my people, become Hokage, and then attempt to bring peace to the elemental nations. I would also like to meet my fellow Jinchuriki and their Biju partners. The Kyuubi listened to the boy ramble on. He was frustrated that this brat was his jailer and that he had the audacity to speak to him without showing fear. As the boy's introduction came to a close, the Kyuubi wasn't exactly pissed off, but there was a great deal of anger tinged with intrigue. That is mighty presumptuous of you, tiny Ningen. How can a weak little boy like you hope to accomplish all of that? Is your pride that great that you can't see the folly of your words? And why would you seek out the jailers of my brethren? What could you possibly hope to accomplish by doing so? As the Kyuubi spoke, its chakra flared and put pressure on Naruto. The Kyuubi kept increasing the pressure, trying to get the tiny human to kneel in front of him. To his immense frustration, it wasn't working. Naruto felt the pressure. He also knew that this was a test and that he couldn't show signs of weakness in front of the fox. Kyuubi-sama, I have come to you in an attempt to make our situation better for both of us. Both of us were forced into this arrangement against our will. I want to know what it will take to make this work. You asked if I was presumptuous. Yes, I am. I will never give up, I will never go back on my word. Thanks to you, I found out about my parents. My father asked me to carry on his dream, which happened to match with what I want to do. I will become the Hokage. It is a question of when, not if. From there, I will do my best to bring peace. I do not know how, I do not know how long, but I do know that I will not give up. I will either achieve this peace or die trying. The Kyuubi was watching the boy closely. He was reading into him as he spoke. To his incredulity, this little human believed what he was saying. The firm resolve in his eye never wavered as he spoke. The Kyuubi was impressed by this child, he felt the light and positivity radiating from him. He felt as if just being around the boy was purifying some of his overwhelming hatred for this pathetic race. After the boy's pause, the Kyuubi cut in. Okay, Ningen, let us stop with the Sama crap. I am your prisoner, for the time being. Let's say I believe your words, and that you will become Hokage. What do you want with the Jinchuriki and my brethren? Naruto was confused, the pressure had let up quite a bit. The Kyuubi even seemed to acknowledge Naruto's dream. He decided to go with his gut and be honest. Kyuubi, I have heard that Jinchuriki are often ostracized, or worse. I do not wish to see them continue suffering. I do not want those few people in this world that may understand me to suffer unjustly. As for your brethren, am I to presume that the other Biju are your brothers and sisters? At the Kyuubi's nod, Naruto continued, if they are sentient beings like you, then my previous stance stands. I do not approve of enslavement or control. It is wrong. I do not know much more at this time, but I believe that to my core. Are you saying you would attempt to free the Biju? Asked the Kyuubi with a hint of surprise in his voice. Naruto had to pause and think at this. The furrow in his brow indicated how seriously he took the question. If it is possible without killing the Jinchuriki, and they agreed not to harm humans, then I think I would, replied Naruto in earnest. Incredible, thought the Kyuubi, this mere human child doesn't show the fear or prejudice that plagues his race. Could it be the human that Uzumaki told us about? Preposterous, we have waited centuries and the one never showed up. This human is just a boy, there is no way his resolve will stand. Despite the Kyuubi's thoughts, this was the first ray of hope that had ever reached the incarnation of hatred. The sage created the Biju to represent different aspects of the world and human nature. The sage imparted the Kyuubi with the task to keep the evil of this world in check. After centuries of dealing with the worst side of humanity, Kyuubi's hatred grew and he began to doubt his father, the sage of six paths. His thoughts were interrupted by Naruto. Kyuubi, if I may ask, aside from getting out of here and killing me, what is it you want to do? Now, it was official, the Kyuubi was floored. In fact, he was so stunned that he had to blink to reset his vision and make sure he wasn't back under some genjutsu. Well, tiny Ningen. I have been imprisoned for over a century. If it were possible, I want to stretch my legs. The seals of Mito and your mother had me pinned to an eternal sun and then your mother had me bound securely in chains. This seal is more spacious, but I haven't seen the forest in so long. Naruto blinked, of all the responses he was ready for, that was not one of them. Naruto approached the center of the cage and the symbol of the Shinigami, and the seal appeared in front of him. Naruto put his hand on the seal and focused. It should be possible for him to do this, it is his mind after all. He concentrated hard for nearly 5 minutes. The Kyuubi watched the boy with interest. Suddenly there was a flash of light and everything went white with only a translucent barrier separating the Kyuubi from the boy. Slowly fields of grass emerged below the Kyuubi, then a forest of giant redwood trees appeared in the distance. A giant lake formed next to a massive rock that the Kyuubi could fit comfortably on. Finally, a sun appeared in the middle of a blue sky. The sun radiated the warmth and purity that the Kyuubi felt from this child. The Kyuubi couldn't take it anymore. He was at his wit's end. He forced himself to ask the question that he had been barring from escaping his throat. Why? Why would you do this for me, Ningen? The massive fox couldn't hide the surprise and bits of awe from entering his tone. The way I see it, we are stuck with each other. Till death do us part, as Tsunade-bakan said. If I have a happier guest sealed in my stomach, I figured it would probably make my life easier as well. The Kyuubi grunted at this. Very well, Ningen. This is the second favor that I now owe to you. This is a much better prison than I had previously. Now I ask that you state your requests for me. As I have previously stated, I do not enjoy being in debt to others. The Kyuubi watched this tiny meatball. The feeling from earlier grew in his chest. Maybe he could try trusting someone this once. If this Ningen gets out of line, then he would flood the seal, kill the human, and then hope he could reform. He really didn't want to do that. Dying hurt bad enough. But the process of reforming was far worse and far more painful. Well, Kyuubi. I had prepared one request, but I wasn't ready for a second. However, I know what I want to know. First, what is your name? I presume the Kyuubi is just a title. Second, until I die or find a way to safely remove you, would you consider being my partner and helping me achieve my goals? That did it. The Kyuubi was done. His brain, formed of pure chakra, short-circuited. The shock of a human child talking to him and being nice was one thing. The child being able to control his mind and shape his prison was something entirely else in and of itself. Now, instead of power, abilities, or some other form of narcissism, the child asks for his name. And to be his friend? Kami, if you are messing with I swear I will devour you. Father, if this is not the child you promised, I will give up on humanity forever and devour this world. Very well, Kit. My word is my bond. I will uphold my end of the deal, but there are conditions for this. To us Biju, our names are sacred. You are never to share my name unless I deem the human worthy of knowing it. To all humans, you will refer to me by my title as the Kyuubi no Kitsune. For your second request, you will need to earn the right to be the friend or partner of the great Kyuubi no Kitsune. Do you agree to these conditions? Sick of being surprised, the Kyuubi watched Naruto pass through the translucent barrier and approach him. Confused, no, that's not the right word. Incredulous, no, that is. Overused. Gobsmacked, yes, that will do. The Kyuubi was gobsmacked. The human just willingly entered his domain. With a mere flick of the tail, he could take over this human boy's mind. So why wouldn't his tail move? Why wouldn't he jaws crush this tiny, fragile little meat sack? It clicked. Kyuubi knew that this child was the only hope he had. Yami, he was the only hope any of his brothers and sisters had. It was at this point that the Kyuubi slid his proverbial chip stack to Kami and went Allen. Naruto continued at a slow and controlled pace. The pressure of the chakra coming off the Kyuubi threatened to flatten him with each step he took. His negative emotion sensing let him feel all of the pent-up hatred, disgust and disappointment. As he got nearer, these feelings seemed to intensify. When he got close enough to the Kyuubi, he stopped and held out his hand. Once again, it is nice to meet you. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, and I will become Hokage, and I will do everything in my power to bring peace to the elemental nations. I will do what I can to help you and you siblings find peace. You have my word. And I never go back on my word. Data Bayo. The Kyuubi looked at the boy's hand, and with great restraint he touched one of his nails to the boy's hand. Kit, you are the first human since the sage that I am trusting with my name. My name is Kurama, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. I acknowledge your right to use my name. I do not, however, acknowledge your right to use my power. That right will have to be earned. I will watch you, train you, test you, and when you think you are ready, I will grant you the right to challenge me for my power. Deal, Kurama, said Naruto as he broke out his gigawatt smile for the fox. Could you tell me why you call me Kit though? Kit is what foxes call their kids. At this stage, you are a child, and I will refer to you as such. Now Kit, this has gone on long enough. Leave me to rest and explore my new domain. Next Friday, you will return here for training. You got it, Kurama. Man, that is a sweet name. Bye. As Naruto left the mindscape, Kurama was still gobsmacked by that whole meeting. Never, not once in his wildest Tsukuyomi-induced dreams, did he think the meeting would go like that. At every turn, the brat surprised him. As he lay down on his new rock and curled up, he felt a peace that had long since been absent come over him as he closed his eyes. As for Naruto, he came out of the mindscape and passed out right there on the floor of his dad's training room. The sheer magnitude of the Kyuubi's presence and that whole experience hit him at once when he returned to reality. Tsunade would check up on him a bit later and carry him to bed. Flashback and an unknown test. Naruto refocused as he concluded his stretching. He had removed his gravity and weight seals in preparation for this. Jiraiya had helped Naruto paint them onto his body nearly 6 months ago during one of his random check-ins. Naruto found that as the gravity levels went up, he would feel way heavier and get lightheaded. Tsunade was in charge of monitoring the seals, even though Jiraiya and Naruto were the only ones that knew how to adjust them. She was the one who informed him that increasing the gravity levels would make it harder for blood to circulate through his body. Thus, Naruto had to spend months at each level of gravity seal. In order to maintain his progress rate, Naruto used weight seals to act as intermediary gravity levels. For instance, if he set his overweights to 100 pounds, then at gravity level 3 the weights would weigh nearly 400 pounds. Tsunade was very strict about the gradual increase. She taught Naruto how to channel chakra internally to reinforce his muscles and organs passively to deal with the increased burden. While Naruto's healing and growth factors were amazing, she didn't want to stunt the boy's growth. Returning to present time, Naruto heard a deep chuckle in the back of his mind. Yeah Kit, you sure did surprise me. Never did I think that I would be able to trust a human again, Kurama said earnestly. So, are you ready for this? If you pass this test and beat this Ningen instructor, I will start training you on the first tale of my power. As ready as I will ever be, Kurama. You know me, I will either pass this test or pass out from exhaustion. Because I will never give up, thought back Naruto. Very well, Kit. Show me how far you have come. Naruto gave a mental fist bump to Kurama as he stood to his full height and shook himself out. He watched the Hokage walk up with an ANBU in a dog mask. Okay, Naruto-kun. This here is Inu, an ANBU captain. Today you will be fighting against Inu's shadow clone. You have 1 hour to destroy his shadow clone, so fight with the intent to kill. Hi, Hokage GGI. I will get it done. The excitement in Naruto's tone earned a chuckle from the aged Hokage. Inu took offense to this. How can a brat that just turned 9 years old think that he could beat an ANBU captain? Sure, Kakashi had heard of the kid's amazing progress. However, genius and prodigy were such overused words in Konoha. It seems one kid every year was given the title. And he was supposed to fight this kid? Yeah, right. Kakashi scoffed internally as he heard the Hokage tell him to get ready. So, he gave a wave and a casual, hi, to his Hokage. He created a shadow clone and gave it roughly half of his chakra. That should be more than enough to fight the kid for an hour, thought an amused Kakashi. Naruto went to the center of the field. He started saturating his body with chakra in preparation for the fight. Tsunade's lesson had taught him to use chakra to augment his natural speed and strength. When both fighters were ready at the center of the field, Hiruzen stepped forward. Naruto-kun, there are no limitations on your end. Show us what you can do. Kakashi, nothing that will maim or permanently injure the boy. Both fighters replied casually with, "Hi, Hokage-sama," and made the sign of altercation to one another. "Hajime," shouted Hiruzen as he walked off the field. Both fighters stood there analyzing each other for a good 30 seconds. Naruto was in a ready posture, his muscles tight and coiled. Kakashi's clone was standing completely relaxed, basically telling the boy it didn't take him seriously. The clone then drew a copy of Aika Aika, Paradise, out of its kunai pouch. This royally ticked Naruto off, so before the clone could even start reading its smut, it was forced to dispel from a chakra-enhanced kick to its head. The audience was stunned. I mean, it's not every day you see a child beat an ANBU captain in under a minute. Most of the esteemed eyes present had seen the boy Kawarimi with the clone's book and lash out with impressive speeds at the dog mask ANBU's head. The clone had dispelled before its book even hit the ground. As all heads turned to Kakashi and gave him an, "Are you serious?" look, Hiruzen chuckled. Unlike Kakashi, Hiruzen kept his perversion hidden safely in the shadows. Kakashi rubbed the back of his head sheepishly and said, "Ma. It's just a shadow clone." Inu-san. I am very familiar with shadow clones. Each of them gets their personality straight from the original. At the most, there are some slight differences in personality. I think that means the clone reading smut in the middle of a fight is all you. Fits of laughter racked the onlookers. Hitomi was full on laughing and the prim and proper Hayashi could be seen with his back turned to the rest of the group. It was clear from the rhythmic bouncing of his back that he was trying and failing to suppress his laughter. It was that day that most in attendance heard Hayashi Hyuga chuckle for the first time in a decade. Naruto wasn't happy though. He had trained hard for this year and this clown of an ANBU didn't take him seriously. With a dark and serious tone that didn't fit with the playful mood, Naruto stated, "ANBU-san, if you are not going to take me seriously, please leave and let Hokage-sama find a replacement. I have worked hard over the past year and wish to test myself." The real Kakashi stepped forward this time. "Okay, kid. You have my attention. If you can land a hit on me in the next 30 minutes, you pass this test." Hiruzen and Danzo exchanged a look. They knew this version of Kakashi. This was the ANBU Captain Kakashi that had done Konoha's hardest missions for the past 12 years. Despite Minato's last words, Kakashi could never get over the grief and guilt he felt. That is how he justified hiding in ANBU and never meeting Naruto before now. This time, he took the initiative and launched himself at Naruto. Naruto was caught off guard by his speed but still managed to block Kakashi's straight punch with his guard. The force made the child slide back about 10 feet. Kakashi was stunned because he thought that punch would have ended things quickly. Naruto recovered quickly, crossed his fingers into the Suntabephamus cross hand sign and shouted, "Kagebunshin no Jutsu." 5 clones appeared around Naruto. One clone repeated the hand sign, summoning his squad of 9 shadow clones and charged in a coordinated fashion at the ANBU. 2 clones jumped to either side of the melee, summoned their clones and took out kunai. The other 2 clones jumped off into either tree line. Naruto himself began to pull out some flash tags in case his clones couldn't get the job done. Kakashi was stunned. He had heard about Naruto being able to use shadow clones, so he wasn't too surprised when the kids summoned 5 of them. Then Kakashi saw how the clones were coordinated and how they each summoned their own clones. Holy shit, this kid is a one-man army, thought Kakashi as he dodged and countered the frontline clones' taijutsu. It was easy enough for him to work his way through the 10 frontline clones. He did notice that each clone was using a slightly different taijutsu style than the next. As the smoke from the last clone cleared, Kakashi's eyes widened as he was pinned from either side by a hail of kunai. He executed an emergency kawarimi with a log from the woods nearby. It was there that Kakashi got jumped by another 10 clones and beaten to a pulp. The negative side effect of using an emergency kawarimi is that it leaves the user disoriented for a couple seconds while they regather their bearings. In the middle of his beating, he told the Naruto clones that they won, and the test was over. A bruised and beaten dog-masked Anbu walked out of the woodline with his hands up in a surrender gesture. "The kid wins," he said, and then shunshined away before he could suffer any further embarrassment. The real Naruto walked up to the group of spectators and said, "Well, Gigi, I didn't really get to show off much, but this means I pass, right?" Hiruzen chuckled and ruffled the boy's hair. "Yes, Naruto-kun. With flying colors, I may add." Danzo complimented the boy on his strategy and looked meaningfully at his friend. Hiruzen gave him a nod that said, "We will talk about this later." In the back of Naruto's mind, Kurama congratulated the boy. "Well done, Kit. Next Friday we will begin working with my chakra. Prepare yourself. My chakra is far denser than yours and it is poisonous to most people. Even with the seal purifying some of it, it will be a lot for your young body to handle. Talk to your Hokage about this. He will likely wish to have someone present." "Alright, thanks Kurama. I can't wait." "How are things inside the seal?" replied Naruto. "They will do for now, Kit. I am excited to see if your idea with shadow clones works. For now, celebrate your victory. I am taking a nap." That night, the Hokage and Tsunade took out all the trainers, Naruto's friends and the clan heads that were following Naruto's progress for dinner at the Akimichi barbecue restaurant. Sadly, Danzo, Neji and Sasuke declined the invite. That didn't stop the group from having 20,000 ryo worth of food and drink though, much to the chagrin of Sarutobi's wallet. Ino and Shikamaru, the two Naruto had gotten to closest to, claimed the seats next to him and caught him up on their first year at the academy. The next day in the Hokage office, Naruto's trainers met in the Hokage office. Additionally, a Dragomasked Anbu was standing on Hiruzen's right side. "Okay, we all saw how much Naruto has improved. Sadly, he dealt with Inu before we could get too much out of him, but I have a plan." The Hokage had to stifle a laugh at the memory. This turned into an awkward fit of coughs since he was holding in a drag from his pipe. All in attendance were keenly interested in what awaited the blonde. Tsunade was terrified that it might put Naruto in danger. She knew he was strong, but it terrified her thinking of him becoming a shinobi at 9 years old. Hiruzen continued, "Well, I believe it is still too early to introduce Naruto-kun to the public. After talking with Naruto, it is clear he wants to test his strength and start his shinobi career." Danzo and Dragon came up with, what I believe to be, a viable option. Since Naruto is clearly past academy level, Naruto will work and train as an honorary ANBU for the next year. Danzo and I will give Naruto-kun missions directly that will test him and benefit Konoha. During the week, he will train with ANBU Team Ro and run missions inside Konoha for me. We will honor his current training setup and only work him 4 days a week. The boy is strong, smart and on his way to becoming a splendid shinobi. I want to use this year to get him experience around the best shinobi Konoha has to offer. Tsunade listened with a concerned expression on her face. "Sensei, he isn't going to be doing any wet work or fighting shinobi, is he?" Everyone was surprised when Danzo answered, "That is not the plan. Not yet at least. I have instructed him on some of the darker aspects of a shinobi's life. However, even I do not want to taint the boy's light with blood just yet." Everyone's surprise came from the genuine tone easily detected in Danzo's voice. The third took the pause to cut in, "We want Naruto to benefit from the experience of being around highly trained shinobi. Team Ro will remain on duty in Konoha doing basic protection missions, patrols around the village and other safer duties. I do plan on Team Ro being dispatched to the Fire Capital in 3 months to meet with the daimyo. It seems Daimyo-sama misses Minato dearly and wants the chance to meet his son. He requested Team Ro for some intelligence gathering that he will need done as a pretense to meet Naruto-kun. So, he is just going to train and work with ANBU here in Konoha for the first year? Asked Tsunade. Her face and posture had relaxed considerably throughout Hiruzen's explanation. Yes, Tsunade-chan. He will have some other tasks, but this sneaky old monkey will just tell you to wait and see what we have planned. I am sure you will get a kick out of it. At that moment, a shudder ran down the spine of every clan head in Konoha. 3 months later in ANBU HQ lounge, Naruto's introduction to Team Ro, where he met Nico, Cat, Kuma, Bear, Hibi, Snake, and Inu, Dog, came the week following his test with Inu. They had welcomed him aboard by abducting him for 2 months of hell in Training Ground 44, dubbed the Forest of Death. Team Ro couldn't get enough of the vibrant new addition to their team. Especially since Naruto never stopped taking pop shots at Inu Taicho. Nico and Hibi hogged as much training time as they could with the recruit. For some reason, Hibi thought it was okay to repeatedly smush Kitsune into her massive chest whenever he did something right. Despite Kitsune's protest, and Inu's snickers, she was also the one that spent the most time with Kitsune during the training in her home. Yes, this crazy snake lady dubbed the Forest of Death her home, and she declared the sleepless night in the forest fighting oversized snakes, bugs and other jungle creatures as sleepovers. Kami, Naruto was tired of sleepovers. The quietest member of the team was Kuma, a massive man towering over Kitsune at 6 foot 4 inches. He was the team's frontline fighter and taijutsu expert. He had a powerful earth affinity that he incorporated into a bone-breaking taijutsu style. Kitsune loved his time with the gentle giant. Despite getting throttled repeatedly by said gentle giant during training, Naruto learned something new from Kuma for each beatdown he received. The team bonded together over their training of the blonde. It helped that each team member was given a clone captain to command and instruct. The real Naruto would train with one team member each day and then run off into the forest on some mission that Hibi or Inu would give him. Missions like hunting big-ass boars or oversized bears. Collecting venom from the giant 8-legged denizens of the forest. Scavenging for herbs and spices that could be used to patch his wounds and make dinner tastier. Kitsune swore that almost every mission was him being this sadistic team's grocery boy, although it was great experience. After 2 months, Naruto had grown into his place in the team. He enjoyed the unique camaraderie that being a 9-year-old ANBU brought. In turn, his team enjoyed the break from shitty shranked missions that would rob them of sleep for days at a time. They really enjoyed the energy and light that Kitsune brought into the team dynamic. Currently, 3 months into his ANBU career, raucous laughter could be heard throughout the ANBU headquarters. It was all coming from the ANBU lounge where a tiny, blonde kitsune-masked ANBU was recounting his latest conquest. Many veteran ANBU would come up and slap him on the back. Some of the newer recruits would get on their knees and bow to him in mock worship. Hibi was the one laughing the loudest and saying, "That's my Gaki. He did this solo." She was also trying to make a quick buck by selling copies of the pictures. This wouldn't go over so well with the Hyuga clan elders if they ever found out. Over the last week, Operative Kitsune had infiltrated and pranked 3 of the head clans of Konoha, Uchiha, Inazuka and Hyuga. These were the special missions that Danzo and the Hokage had assigned him. Danzo taught Naruto to observe his targets and strike them where it hurt the most, all from the shadows. Kitsune conducted these missions with his mask off. The Hokage didn't want it to be associated with ANBU lest Naruto got caught. Naruto's mission directly from the Hokage was to attempt to infiltrate the clan compounds and retrieve an item or information that would be damaging if an enemy shinobi were able to find it. Danzo's addition to the mission, a bonus task if you will, was to prank each clan in the way it would hurt their pride the most and spur them to take action. Pride was a powerful motivator to improve. Danzo and Hiruzen acknowledged that the village's security had gotten quite lax over the past couple of years, and they wanted to give the clans a wake-up call. The third clan to receive said wake-up call was the Hyuga clan. Naruto felt guilty about this one. He knew a lot about the Hyuga and didn't want to betray the trust Hiashi, Hizashi, Hitomi, and Hinata had shown him. However, Naruto did have a score to settle with the clan elders. Naruto had infiltrated the clan compound, put alarm seals on every wall of the main house. On the floor were paint traps that painted their victim pink. On each door was a flash tag of Naruto's own making. Naruto only targeted the main house for this, as an olive branch to Neji. Kitsune accomplished his main task by acquiring a scroll on the gentle fist. Therefore, it was time to play. When Kitsune activated 40 alarm seals in the Hyuga main house, the whole village heard it. Every member of the main house, sans the previously named members, woke up, jumped out of bed and was painted pink. The seals Naruto placed were located at the bedside of each Hyuga clan member. In their fury, they activated their Byakugan and were treated to 40 flash tags going off throughout the compound. Kitsune then took pictures of the Hyuga elders, painted pink, stumbling around walking into walls. Since their eyes were activated, the blindness lasted for nearly an hour. This was the biggest blow to Hyuga pride in clan history. Kitsune left the gentle fist scroll, a sorry letter and a full report on how he infiltrated the Hyuga compound on the Hokage's desk. An hour and a half later, an enraged Hiashi roared into the Hokage's office, trailed by a bemused Hizashi. Both had an inkling of who had done this, but no proof. When they entered the Hokage's office and saw their clan scroll sitting on his desk, they confirmed their suspicions. "Ah, Hiashi. I was expecting you. I suppose it is time to tell you that I have commissioned a security expert to test our clans. Security systems." It would seem that said operative made quite a fuss at the Hyuga compound. Chuckled out a highly amused Hiruzen Sarutobi. Slight giggles could be heard from the corners where the Hokage's ANBU detail was hidden. "Hokage-sama, are you telling me that you approved of the actions taken against my clan? Now Hiashi Dano, no real harm was done to your clan. The report submitted to me was quite thorough. Would you care to review it?" said Hiruzen as he handed the report and pictures to the Hyuga clan head. Hayashi saw the pictures and was initially filled with rage. Then he read the report and was forced to add some humility into his posture. By then end, Hayashi had to chew on and swallow multiple servings of humble pie. Hizashi was reading over his brother's shoulder. His face began to redden, and his cheeks bulged as he struggled to keep in the laughter that he wanted to let out. Hizashi couldn't confirm it, not that he would want to if he could, but he had a significant inkling to give Naruto a gift the next time he trained him. In Hayashi's hands was a veritable gold mine of blackmail on all the clan elders that made Hayashi's life so kamadamned difficult. In fact, Hayashi noticed that all of the pictures were Hyuga elders. Most of the main and branch houses had been spared. A smirk crept upon Hayashi's face. With the power of humiliation, the operative gave Hayashi the edge he needed to take back control of the Hyuga elders. Hiruzen watched the emotions flash across Hayashi's face. He knew this was a large, bittersweet pill for him to swallow. When he saw the smirk, he resumed the conversation. "Hayashi, these security tests will continue until I see marked improvement. It is safe to assume that similar consequences will be attached to further failures. I am sure your elders will want to prevent such a thing from happening again. Oh, and do keep them from trying to ascertain the identity of my operative. I doubt they would be able to, but I really don't feel like dealing with that headache." Hayashi and Hizashi bowed to the Hokage and said in strong voices, "Hi, Hokage-sama. It will be done." Hiruzen chuckled to himself, and the ANBU let out the laughter they had been holding in. Between the chicken incident at the Uchiha police precinct, the Inuzuka dogs humping everything that moved for 3 days straight, and now the pink Hyuga, Kitsune brought so much joy to the ANBU core and village as a whole. Dragon appeared beside the Hokage. The Hokage could see the smirk through Dragon's mask by the way it lifted slightly around his chin. Hokage-sama, Kitsune is pure gold. My core loves the kid. Not just Team Aro, but everyone. Morale has been up since he returned from his camping trip. Over the past 2 weeks, mission success rate increased by 15%. If this continues, I will have to insist on making Naruto a full-time member of the Corps. Hiruzen sighed, Dragon, you know I want Naruto to have whatever semblance of a childhood that is left for him. I understand where you are coming from, though. For the remainder of the year, we will stick to the plan. If Kitsune wishes to don the mask full-time after this year, I will talk about it with Jiraiya and Tsunade. They will have the final say. As you wish, Hokage-sama. Dragon replied and then disappeared. Throughout the year, Naruto took breaks from ANBU life by visiting his friends at their clan compounds. Each clan member was sworn to secrecy if they were able to figure out Naruto's lineage. The clan heads were responsible for enforcing this. Nearly 6 months into Naruto's first year in ANBU, his friends and their parents were noticing the absence of their friend. After Inoichi and Ino brought their concerns to the Hokage, Hiruzen ordered Naruto to make the rounds and visit his friends. This weekend, Naruto had set up a picnic for him and his friends. He used the promise of a lower severity prank to the Akimichi to negotiate with Chuza for some top-shelf Akimichi food. The giant of a man rapidly accepted the offer. Naruto's first 2 infiltrations into the Akimichi compound had left his wife and clan in a rather foul mood. For the life of him, he couldn't figure out how Naruto had swapped all their best cuts of meat with broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Chuji cried that night when his father told him that the whole clan had to eat a vegetarian meal for one night in order to get their precious meat back. Naruto met his friends in the Hokage's private training ground for the picnic. Hiruzen set this up so prying eyes wouldn't ask about why some blonde orphan was friends with all the future clan heirs. Naruto spent the day deflecting questions on where he has been and why he wasn't attending the academy. He didn't appreciate having to lie to his friends, but he understood that it was necessary. The whole picnic was going perfectly well until Ino grabbed him by the arm and demanded they go on a walk. Naruto listened to her rant about how the whole academy thought Sasuke was so special and that she just wanted him to be there with her. She ranted about a girl named Sakura who was obsessed with Sasuke and about Sasuke's haughty attitude. She didn't understand why Sasuke had closed up so much over the past year. After a 20-minute rant from Ino that made Naruto nod his head and say, yeah, a whole bunch to convince her he was listening, Ino began to question Naruto. Naruto told Ino that he would go on trips with Jiraiya around Fire Country. He said Jiraiya would train him while they traveled and all that. The cover story barely held up to Ino's scrutiny, but she relented so long as Naruto would visit more often. When the two returned to the group, Kiba's crude comments and not-so-subtle innuendos made the pair blush. Nobody noticed Hinata's hands ball into fists or the calculating gaze of Shikamaru. Chuji just offered the two some beef jerky and helped the group move past it. Naruto really did enjoy getting to catch up with his friends and promised each of them that he would make a greater effort to stop by their compounds on some weekends. End of probationary period for Operative Kitsune. The year went by in a flash for Naruto. He had very little free time. Even though he only worked actively in ANBU 4 days a week, he still wanted to train outside of the ANBU Corps. Since his week was occupied, Naruto would often send shadow clone captains to various clan heads on the weekends. This let him keep in touch with his friends, although they never knew the clone captains weren't the original Naruto. It took quite some time for Naruto's friends to realize they were all meeting with him individually at the same time over the weekend. In fact, it took them the whole second year at the academy for them to come to this realization. This didn't really bother anyone too much, except Ino. Ino missed her Ruto, the affectionate name she gave to Naruto. He made her feel so much better. He would listen to her, tend the flower shop with her and help her with her problems. It was thanks to Naruto that Ino gave up on the diet fad after her first year at the academy. He told her, "Why diet when you can train instead?" He said it with such certainty and conviction that Ino decided to listen. Now, in her second year, she was keeping up with Hinata in spars and the physical aspects of shinobi life. Inoichi was ever grateful to Naruto for helping break Ino out of a behavior that would have left her helpless when she got out of the academy. Alas, when Ino found out that she had been dealing with a Naruto clone, she insisted that the real Ruto come next week and take her out to dinner, as an apology of course. Naruto showed up not knowing that Ino was treating this as a date, so when he acted casually, she bonked him on the head and made him treat her like a proper lady. Naruto took the cue and grabbed Ino's hand. He took her out to their favorite flower field where they caught up on things. Ino, being the gossip she is, couldn't help but talk about Konoha's devil prankster. It was the talk of the town. Once a week, a clan would get pranked. There was no pattern to the pranks, no rhythm that could be found whatsoever. Security remained high, 24/7/365. Yet, the prankster kept claiming victims. He was recently cited by a Hyuga that claimed he was a boy, 4 feet 9 inches. He moved faster than the Byakugan could track, and he kept disappearing from view, even with the Dojutsu activated. This latest news was shared among all clans. There was a joint mission to catch this prankster and even a reward posted for 100,000 ryo. This sighting was the only clue that they had after suffering for an entire year. Of course, everyone that knew Naruto knew the most likely culprit, but they never had any proof and the Hokage just kept handing them the after-action reports. Those in the know kept it to themselves. There was a massive betting pool among a majority of the ninja population. You get to choose the day the prankster would get caught for 100 ryo. This betting pool exceeded the reward posted for catching the prankster. The current pot was up to $420,969 ryo. When the Hokage said that the pranks would be ceasing next week, he announced to the ninja populace that if the prankster were not caught by October 10th, then the prankster would collect the pot. It was the last week to catch the prankster, so a public challenge was issued to him. Hit us with your best shot, you will not get away from us this time. For a gossip like Ino, this was pure gold. She would talk to Naruto and speculate on who it could be. She was so lost in her thoughts that she missed the sparkle in Naruto's eyes and the slight swelling of his chest. The Kyuubi chuckled deep inside Naruto's mind, to think this whole village is on high alert and you're out here having a date with Blondie. It's putting your genius to work at its finest. Kurama was immensely proud of his container. The boy had worked so hard and never wavered. His dedication to his trade earned the fox's admiration. The resolve he demonstrated through his training made the fox think that he would allow the boy a second tail soon. Before that though, the boy would have to take a life. Kurama needed the boy to crush this last barrier and prayed to Kami that it wouldn't break him. Thanks, Q. I appreciate the compliment. I took after my sensei after all. Thought back Naruto, although it was clear he was distracted by the blonde beauty. Alright, Kit. Enjoy your date. Tonight, we do the prep work. Hi, replied an amused Naruto. He came back to reality seeing Ino inches in front of his face. Geez, Ruto. You spaced out on me there. Were you even listening? Challenged a pouty blonde. Yes, Ino, I heard you. I tell you what, next week I will tell you who the devil is. What? You know the devil? How? Shouted Ino after looking around to make sure they weren't be overheard. Naruto answered, he is a friend of mine. I will not tell you more than that. If you keep pushing me for the answer, I won't tell you who he is at all. Ino pouted and adopted her puppy dog eyes. After seeing it wasn't going to work, she said, "Fine, Ruto. But that's a promise." They went out to Ichiraku's and enjoyed the rest of their date. It ended with Naruto walking her home and getting a peck on the cheek. With his face flush, Naruto walked home a happy boy. Subchapter: Prank Day. The whole ANBU Corps was sworn to secrecy when it came to the devil prankster's identity. Hell, everyone in the know was sworn to secrecy. However, they were allowed to attempt to capture him, should they catch him in the act. For the final week of the declared prank war, everyone was on high alert. It was a busy morning in Konoha. The markets were coming to life, vendors and civilians alike waiting to see the show. The anticipation was building. The prankster had 3 days left to strike. Just after 8 a.m., the chaos began. It started with a roar from a Kyuubi-enhanced Naruto at the entrance of the Forest of Death. Using the Kyuubi's chakra, Naruto let out a bestial roar that projected throughout Konoha. Clone Squad 1 had prepared siren tags that were placed around the village. Everybody was covering their ears and trying to catch sight of the prankster. Henged Naruto clones were dispersed around Konoha to keep Naruto aware of the battlefield. The henged clone captains would create and disperse shadow clones to pass on the knowledge of sentries and troop movements. Squads of Chunin and Genin were running around to each siren, trying to catch the devil prankster and earn the reward and fame. As the siren tags died out, a massive firework that shot out blue flames went off above Konoha's gates. The flames took the likeness of the head of Kyuubi before dispersing. It took all the chakra of a shadow clone captain to make this happen. The people were confused and slightly terrified when they saw the likeness of a fox. Not enough to make them panic, but enough to set them on edge. This display earned the response of 3 ANBU teams and 2 squads of Jonin, all according to plan. During the distraction, Naruto was painting the Hokage monument. He had developed stealth seals and created a plethora of tags that he distributed to his clone captains. These tags imitated Jiraiya's invisibility jutsu, it just didn't work as well when within 10 feet of a ninja. He could walk right past a civilian with the seal active, but most Jonin would sense him about 10 feet away. A good sensor could pick him up about 25 feet away. Thank Kami, good sensors are rare, thought Naruto. He painted a joint over the first Hokage's mouth with an air bubble that read, "Do you want to feel happy, too?" The second Hokage got a Hitlerian mustache. Don't ask Naruto why, it just fit. The third got a pipe drawn on him with smoke coming out of it. He had an air bubble answering the first saying, "You bet I do." The fourth got a toad and the Kyuubi drawn on his cheeks. Kyuubi made a stink in his mind about this but he could see the humor. Once Naruto was done painting, Naruto released the banner saying, "Catch me if you can," that covered the hair of each Hokage. Then Naruto created 10 shadow clones and stood on top of the Hokage monument. One of the clones jumped of the Hokage monument screaming until it got halfway down. Then it glowed a brilliant blue and exploded after saying, "Clone explosion jutsu." The explosion sounded like AM-80 going off and it produced a brilliant blue chakra light. The sound drew the village's attention to the Hokage monument. After a couple seconds, the clones on the end activated the fire style, flamethrower techniques and blew the torrent of flames into the air. The clones in the middle blew of fireball after fireball. The real Naruto took a deep breath and executed a great breakthrough on all of the fire that was racing into the air. The result was a literal firestorm hovering over the village. All jaws dropped. The Hokage, Jiraiya and Tsunade knew something big was coming. They never expected the display they got from this blonde knucklehead. Hell, Hiruzen would be bordering on chakra exhaustion if he did what Naruto just did. As the fire cleared, Naruto's art could be seen by the whole village. A black blur could be seen racing away from the Hokage monument out toward the training grounds. Every single ninja in Konoha gave chase. The clone captain darted away from the Hokage mountain, making sure that everyone could catch a glimpse of him. He shunshin to the nearest training ground and created 20 low-chakra clones. Their orders were to dispel on sight if sighted. The main purpose was to lose and distract the ninja tracking this particular clone captain. The captain had no doubt he would have to deal with a horde of Hyuga, Inuzuka and Aburame. His job was to lead them into the Forest of Death. As the clone captain made his way to the Forest of Death, he felt 18 of the 20 clones dispel. He had a 30's head start, that would do just fine. The clone captain heard shouting behind him and knew immediately who it was. Might Guy, the green beast of Konoha, and his student Rock Lee, who was still in the academy. Yash! Leekin, we must catch this prankster. If we do not catch him, we will do 1,000 push-ups. If we cannot. The clone turned off his auditory senses. He couldn't be made to deal with all that. He knew that Might Guy was fast, but it was clear he was pacing his student. The clone made its final dash into training ground 44 and hopped the fence. It dashed to one of the campsites the ANBU had used during orientation. Then, with a smile on its face for a job well done, it dispelled. Naruto, the real Naruto, got the memories of his last clone captain and smiled. He lay back on the couch in his father's study and closed his eyes. Ah, the sweet taste of victory. Tsunade woke Naruto up from his nap 2 hours later. You sure you didn't go a bit overboard, brat? Naruto sat up and rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Maybe back on. I used most of my chakra making all those clones and seals. How is the village? It is nuts out there, brat. Ninjas are running around every which way still hoping they could get the reward. Hibi said that the pot for catching you today was 150,000 Rio. They are getting desperate out there. Naruto chuckled. Well, back on, your next trip to the liquor store is on me. I knew I loved you, brat. Well done. Watch out for your Gigi though, he didn't like everyone knowing that he mixes that medicinal herb into his pipe. Oops. You think you could get some of the good stuff from the hospital for me, as an apology to Gigi? Sure thing, brat. Get some sleep. With that, Tsunade walked upstairs and waited for Naruto's payday. October 10th, Naruto's 10th birthday. Naruto reported in with Team Ro to the Hokage's office. Naruto recognized the smell that lingered in the office and smirked beneath his mask. Did you get my present from Bakon, Gigi? Yes, I did, Kitsune. It was much appreciated. You may inform Naruto-kun that we are square. Hiruzen took another deep drag in response to Naruto's nod and thought, the perks of being Hokage. Kitsune chimed back, Gigi, I have one more prank, are you ready for it? Hiruzen gave Naruto a hesitant nod. Naruto created 5 shadow clones that went over and started doing the paperwork for the Hokage. Repetitive, resounding thuds echoed around the room as Hiruzen dropped his pipe and started beating his head on his desk. Team Ro was shaking in silent fits of laughter. Inu Taishu wasn't so quiet about it though. Inu Taishu had really come back to life over the year. He felt like he was finally honoring his sensei's last wish, and this helped bring him a sense of closure. He was still eccentric as hell, and an open perv, but he started showing interest in things again. Naruto lovingly considered Inu Taishu a work in progress. After Hiruzen stopped berating himself, he looked at Team Ro with a swollen and red forehead. Team Ro, your activity and missions over the past year reflect well upon Kishin's progress. I am still hesitant to send him into the field. However, each of his trainers and even Tsunade gave their approval. If this next mission is completed successfully, Kitsune will be a full-fledged member of ANBU and part of Team Ro. All I looked down upon Kitsune, who stood proudly with his shoulders back. Hi, Hokage-sama. Name it and it will be done. The boy's confident answer filled Hiruzen with pride. Naruto is becoming a fine young man and a great shinobi, he thought. Okay, Team Ro, you are to go to Tanaka village. A group of bandits has been harassing the local population and recently women have started disappearing. Hiruzen confirmed his resolve and his face hardened. This is a recovery and kill mission. The locals do not have the resources to imprison bandits. Kitsune, you are tasked with completing this mission solo. Team Ro will be there to observe. They will step in if there is any threat to the lives of known civilians or yourself. If they need to interfere, we will delay your entry into ANBU. Am I clear? Hi, Hokage-sama, said a resolute Kitsune as Team Ro flickered out of the Hokage's office. Be safe, Naruto-kun. Show me you are strong enough to bear this burden. Hiruzen needed a couple dabs of the good stuff to calm him nerves down. Tanaka Town, Bandit Extermination Team Ro was out of the village 10 minutes after receiving orders from the Hokage. Everyone was worried for their blonde teammate, especially Hibi and Nico. They knew very well the weight of taking a life. Kitsune had yet to experience that. Honestly, what 10-year-old should be forced to take a life? Anyway, the team bounded through the treetops toward Tanaka Town. Kurama had been listening and knew this was an important test for the kid. The test was simple: could he take a life? And maintain his purity? Or would he give in to his baser instincts and bloodlust? Breaking from his thoughts, Kurama decided to speak up. Hey, Kit. You going to be able to go through with this? What? Oh. Yeah. I will be fine, Kurama. I knew it was coming sooner or later. Do you have any advice for me? Replied Naruto through a clearly muddled mind. Listen, Kit. This world is harsh. These bandits are evil. Didn't you tell me you dislike anything that would remove control from a sentient being? Well, that's what these bandits are doing to those women and villagers. Kyubi trailed off with that, wanting to see how the boy would take it. Surprisingly, Kurama's words struck a chord with Naruto. An immediate improvement to the weather inside the mindscape let Kurama know that the boy had found his resolve. Just outside of Tanaka Town, Team Ro halted. Naruto created 6 clone captains and assigned them search sectors. Then, Naruto hinged to look like a civilian and approached his point of contact, the town mayor. The mayor noticed a new unknown civilian approaching his office and was surprised when the civilian walked right in and applied some seal to his office door. Sir, I am a shinobi from the Hidden Leaf answering your mission request. Is there any additional information you can provide? They took 3 more girls last night. The girls are not even teenagers for Kami's sake. Replied a destitute mayor. Don't worry, mayor. Be ready to receive the girls tonight. My team has found the bandit camp. I will recover the women and then destroy the bandit camp. Thank you, Shinobi-san. We will be ready for them. Earlier, Clone Team 4 had found the bandit camp and one of its members dispelled, letting the others know. Now, unbeknownst to the bandits, 120 eyes were watching every move in the camp. The clones found the main tent and noticed a big and burly bandit leader. The clones also noted the tent next to that where the women and children were being kept. With his enhanced eyesight and hearing from Kurama, the clones were having a hard time not charging in right there. The despicable thoughts of the bandits, the sound of slapping and crying all heaped fuel on the fire that was Naruto's resolve. Kitsune dispelled his clones, then ran over his plan with Team Ro and Kurama. Now, it was time to execute. Naruto created 10 clone captains. 2 clone captains were responsible for retrieval of the women. That would mean he could grab 20 women and Shunshin out of the camp. He only knew of 12 missing women, so that should be more than enough. Clone squads 310 would surround the bandit camp. Once the women are out, it would be time to light it up. Naruto joined Team 1 and 2 clone captains. They killed the sentries on the south side of the camp with kunai. It wasn't hard, they were immobile targets. Naruto and the clone captains hid the bodies and hinged into their most recent victims. Then they walked toward the tent that held the women captives. The sounds coming from inside the tent were not pretty. And, I abhor rape, so I will not elaborate or illustrate this scene. Naruto felt his anger synchronize with Kurama's. The old fox might be a pervert, but it believes rape to be a crime more severe than murder. The three Naruto broke their henge, dashed silently into the tent. The real Naruto slapped a privacy seal on the tent so no sounds could escape. Then Naruto yanked the 5 bandits, that were forcing themselves on the women, off and dragged them to the other side of the tent where he and his clones removed their heads with their wakizashis. The girls screamed for a second, but Naruto was able to hush them. I am a ninja from Konoha. I have been sent here to help you. Is this everyone? He asked when they all calmed down. No, my friend was taken by the big one not even 20 minutes ago. Cried out a frantic girl in her early teens. All the girls were in rough shape. Dirt covered their knees and hands, and their clothing was ripped. Okay, I will go get her. Each of you hold on to one of my clones and they are going to get you out of here. He said as he made the familiar cross shape. 11 clones popped out and grabbed a hold of the women and girls. Naruto removed the privacy seal and then the clones used shunshin to move the women to the casualty collection point. Naruto crept through the shadows and heard what was happening inside. He could only sense the big man and a girl. He slapped another privacy seal on the tent and snuck in. What he saw made his eyes glow red and turn into feral slits. Kurama's chakra poured out of him and held near his skin in a basic cloak. Naruto's fingernails elongated and his whisker marks darkened. The big bandit felt the ominous shift in the air and turned around. With his pants still down and covered in the girl's blood, the bandit's Minami was standing up for a few to see. Naruto blurred forward and separated the twigs and berries from the bandit. The man screamed loudly and fell to his knees. Naruto ripped out the man's tongue and cut off his hands. He zipped behind the man and severed his Achilles tendons so he couldn't move. He didn't finish him off though, he knew the clone's barrage would do the job. Instead, he forcibly calmed himself and approached the crying girl. She reeled back from him, not trusting him. He held up his hands. Miss, it's okay. Your mayor sent me, and I am trying to get you out of here. My team has the camp surrounded and is going to destroy it soon. We need to go. With her consent, he covered her in his ANBU cloak. He was too tiny to scoop her bridal style, so he had her climb on his back. It took her a while to trust him, but she finally climbed on his back and wrapped her legs around his waist. He could feel her shaking from the traumatic experience. He left the privacy seal on the tent as he left. Upon exiting the tent he shunshined to the casualty collection point and flared his chakra. That was the signal for the clone barrage. From both sides of the bandit encampment, clone teams launched great fireballs enhanced by wind jutsu. The clones kept the barrage up for 3 minutes. The firestorm that ensued made sure there were no survivors. Just flaming carcasses, melted sword and ashes of belongings. After their job was done, the clones dispelled. The backlash and visuals of the bandits burning alive hit Kitsune. The whole mission hit Kitsune all at once. He fell onto his knees and puked his guts out. He held it together and didn't freeze. However, as soon as the adrenaline left him, it all came into focus. He had just killed 152 men. It was all him. His eyes went out of focus and he looked off into the woods. The last girl he saved came around to his front, looked him in the eyes and then pulled him into a hug. 2 words pulled Naruto back from the brink: thank you. You're welcome. He replied in a whisper. He gathered himself together and noticed the bruising and light bleeding that marred the girl's gentle features. He used some basic healing jutsu on the girl. The fresh marks on her face and abdomen faded and she smiled at him. She thanked him again and ran back to the other girls. Hibi and Nico came over and rubbed his back. You did good, Gaki. I know it's hard, killing should always be hard. It means you're still human. Intoned Hibi in a gentle and knowing tone. We are here for you, Kitsune-kun, said Nico, backing up Hibi. Kurama had watched his container. He thought he might lose it there when he went into the last tent, but he brought it under control to help that poor girl. The kid did well, as always, he exceeded my expectations. And he even honored me by incinerating them. Ah, nothing like burning the evil out of this world. It is what the sage made me for. Kurama felt proud when reflecting on his container's actions. He reaches out to his container. Kit, you did well. You didn't hesitate, you didn't lose yourself in the bloodlust, you controlled my power. Most importantly, look at those 12 girls. You saved them and gave them another chance at life. You did that, Kit. This means you also passed my test to work on controlling the second tail. I will leave you with that. Good night, Kit. Thanks Q, I appreciate it. Get some rest, I will finish up here. Even Naruto's thoughts carried a weak tone with them. Later, in the Hokage's office, Naruto gave the Hokage his mission report. Hiruzen winced when he heard the estimated number of bandits. 150 of them and he doesn't have a scratch on him. This kid is unbelievable. Thought Hiruzen. I guess this means I will have to make him a full ANBU for a while. I still plan on graduating him with the other clan children. That will be a great year for him to make his public introduction. Okay then, I just have to make sure he survives 2 years of ANBU, easy, right? Hiruzen was completely lost in his train of thought. Kitsune has watched the Hokage's eyes go blank there for a bit. He knew his Gigi didn't want him working in ANBU for real. But I want to protect. I am strong enough, so he needs to let me protect my home. Thought Naruto. Team Ro looked on patiently as their Hokage and youngest member lost themselves in thought. Finally, Inu made a coughing sound and brought both of them back to the office. Oh, yes. Kitsune-kun. You are now an official member of Team Ro. You may collect your mission reward and your reward money at the bank. I told them it was pay for an extended mission, do enjoy. You have the next 3 days off and then Team Ro will commence working as a full-time ANBU squad again. Hi, Hokage-sama. Replied Team Ro confirming their orders. The Uchiha incident for the last 2 years, Fugaku, Mikoto, Shisui, and eventually Itachi, were looking into the Uchiha clan. It was slow progress because Fugaku had to handle this matter very delicately. He started by gathering the clan to the shrine and activating his Manjikyu Sharingan to demonstrate his power to his clan. My brethren, we of the proud and mighty Uchiha clan, represent the might of Konohagakure. I call upon my clan to help me demonstrate our might. I have 2 here, Shisui Uchiha and Utate Uchiha that have reached my level and activated their MS. Are there any others? Will any of you stand up and make the Uchiha rise to the pinnacle of our village's ninja forces? Will any more of my brothers rise to the challenge and reach my level? There was a cheer for the 3 Uchiha standing up front with the MS activated for the whole clan to see. This was Mikoto's idea, play to the pride and power of the Uchiha and get the potential culprit to reveal himself. Nothing happened that meeting. Nothing happened for the next 3 months. Then, an elder approached him with something new. The elder was Mideku Uchiha. He approached Fugaku in a very cautious manner. Good evening, Fugaku-sama. I was moved by your demonstration at the shrine a while back. Fugaku kept a blank face and replied, Thank you, Mideku-san. It is an honor to lead the Uchiha clan to glory. I hope for your continued support. Mideku gave a small, brief smile and replied, of course, Fugaku-sama. I wish to aid you in restoring our clan to its deserved glory. Please meet me at the shrine on the next full moon. There is someone I wish you to meet. I would be honored, Midika-san. I will be there," said Fugaku in a neutral voice. He gave the elder a nod and walked home. When Fugaku discussed this with Mikoto and Shursui, they decided that Fugaku should attend the meeting. He would need to keep his guard up, but if he flared his chakra, they would be there to back him up. 3 weeks later, at midnight on the full moon, Fugaku appeared in the Uchiha clan shrine. Midiku was waiting there for him with 2 others. They exchanged greetings. Fugaku was surprised, he wasn't expecting 2 more elders to be here. Then, behind the Uchiha tablet a swirl began to appear. It was like a hole in space had just opened up. Out of this swirl stood a man, about 5 feet 10 inches, in a dark black cloak with the Uchiha crest. He wore an orange swirl mask with an eye hole on the right side. Fugaku had unexpectedly activated his own MS in response to his arrival. The man in the orange mask then spoke, "It is good to see that at least one of my progeny has reached the next level of the Sharingan. My name is Madara Uchiha, and I have come to reclaim my clan and my village." Fugaku was floored. He saw this man, felt his power and now was looking at a MS hidden behind the eye hole on the right side of the man's orange mask. Then said man claims to be Madara Uchiha, the same Madara Uchiha that was beaten and supposedly killed by the first Hokage. "Forgive me, Madara-san. You claim to be Madara Uchiha, but history claims he was killed nearly 80 years ago. That would mean you are about 120 years old. Am I about right on that?" The man in the mask chuckled darkly, "Ah, Fugaku. Mideku told me that you were a smart one. Alas, I am that Madara. It took me quite some time to heal from those wounds that Hashirama gave me. However, from those wounds I rose with an even greater Dojutsu and a mission from the Rabbit Goddess. I will lead the Uchiha clan again to glory and unite the nations under the infinite Tsukuyomi. You need make but one choice, will you join me or die here?" Fugaku bowed his head, "Madara-sama, you are a legend among shinobi. However, I am the leader of my clan, and I cannot hand over the reins to an unknown. I ask that you show me undeniable proof that you are who you claim. If so, I will follow you." "Very well," said the man claiming to be Madara in a low tone. He then used Madara's eye to force Fugaku into the Tsukuyomi and he showed him his meeting with Black Zetsu, the will of the Rabbit Goddess as well as memories from Madara's life. Fugaku was very disturbed by what he saw and felt in Madara's world. It was dark and hopeless, like all of the color had been drained out of life. That Zetsu creature is surely evil. Nothing good will come of allowing it to influence the Uchiha clan, but I cannot beat him right now, not alone. I need to buy time and gain his trust. Fugaku bended down on one knee, followed by the other clan elders. "What would you have us do, Madara-sama?" After that night, Fugaku had several meetings with the Madara. He was also forced to act as an agent of Madara. Fugaku used Shursui to pass messages to the Hokage, since he was in ANBU. The Hokage was very wary of acting too hastily. He wanted to know how deep this ran. There would only be one shot at removing Madara's influence from the Uchiha clan. This same damned Madara killed his successor, used the Kyubi to attack the village and was now corrupting his village through the shadows. Hiruzen knew that this needed to stay quiet, and it required decisive action. The always happy Shursui's mood had darkened since hearing of his clan's dilemma. If this goes too far, we will not be able to bring the clan back from the precipice. For the past year, he had watched more and more of his clan's warriors fall to the delusions of this Madara. That name inspired so much fear in the clan and fear motivated people in the worst way. He was happy he had Itachi. Itachi was his best friend and fellow ANBU. They were the Hokage's link to Fugaku throughout this mess in the Uchiha clan. Fugaku let him know that a revolt was coming soon. He could no longer hold back the tides of betrayal. The coup d'etat was supposed to take place over the New Year holiday, when Konoha's shinobi would be at their most vulnerable. It was now mid-October, so that gave the Hokage 2 months to act. These heavy thoughts kept Shisui down. The weight of this secret dragged on him. The 4 loyal Uchiha were the only support that could be relied upon. Finally, Hiruzen called all 4 of them into his office. Inside were Danzo, Koharu, and Jiraiya. Every member present held Hiruzen's trust, and their input was needed throughout this whole debacle. Hiruzen gave a weary look around the room. When he was in this mood, the years caught up to him and showed upon his wrinkled and aged face. The time has come to act. We cannot let the rot spread even more. We will do it all at once and try to remove this tumor before it gets the chance to spread. Fugaku knew his clan messed up. He had nearly given in to the tidings of the madman himself, but Mikoto kept him anchored. Thank Kami for that woman. Their relationship had improved since they took time training Naruto. That little kid really had a way of rubbing off on people. The light he brought back to Fugaku allowed Fugaku the humility to apologize to Mikoto for treating her as subservient. He had changed and she had reciprocated. The two started fresh and Mikoto was allowed out of the compound as a part-time teacher at the academy. Teaching Naruto had inspired her, and she wanted to continue teaching the youth, the future of Konoha. Fugaku was so lost in his thoughts that he barely heard the Hokage's plan. Hokage-sama and honorable elders, if I may. This was a problem created by my clan. I have talked with those present and we will be the ones to handle the rebellion. I ask that you respect my decision as a clan head. The room, aside from the Uchihas, was taken aback. Hiruzen never intended on making them shoulder that burden. Hell, even Danzo just thought of overwhelming them with the numbers and strength of Konoha. Fugaku continued, Hokage-sama, this is an Uchiha problem. If we allow other clans and shinobi of Konoha to fix it for us, then the clan will lose much more honor and standing than if we handle it ourselves. For the sake of the future Uchiha, I ask you to let us handle this. As he concluded, Fugaku and the 3 other Uchiha bowed their heads low. A sign of trust that the Hokage did not miss. Very well, what is your plan, Fugaku? Hiruzen replied tentatively. The next clan meeting is in 3 days at the shrine. All those involved in the planned coup should be there. I ask for your discretion, cordon off the Uchiha clan district with ANBU. Give them standing orders that they are not to intervene until we have cleansed the clan of traitors or died trying. Fugaku said this with his head still bowed. Hiruzen knew these were the words of a man at peace with his decision. Shisui, Itachi, how do you two feel about this? The Hokage didn't want 2 of his star ANBU to crack from something as dark as this. Our loyalty is to you, Hokage-sama, and to the village of Konohagakure no Sato. We will do what must be done. Replied the boys with a bow and salute. Hiruzen let out a deep sigh, not even his pipe could make this feel better. Very well, you will have ANBU support should you need it. Unless the signal is given, they will remain on support at the edge of the Uchiha compound. I pray for your success. Nighttime, October 25th. On the outskirts of the Uchiha compound, Kitsune was agitated. Kitsune was pissed. Kitsune needed somebody to shove a chill pill down his fucking throat. Inu watched as Kitsune fidgeted in his position. The normally well-behaved and positive boy emanated a chilling aura. Ever since the details of the mission tonight were given to Team Ro, Kitsune had been this way. Inu flashed behind Kitsune and put a hand on his shoulder, and know this is hard for you, but our orders are to wait for the signal. They will be okay. All he received in response was a nearly imperceptible nod. Inside, Naruto was a mess. He could feel the negative emotions pouring out of the Uchiha compound. He could feel the clash of chakra and the agitated spikes. The only thing that kept him rooted was being able to feel those 5 chakra signatures. If he felt them in trouble, Kitsune would go, consequences be damned. Kurama drew Naruto into the mindscape and forced him to calm down. He flashed Naruto a memory that would distract him for the time being. Kurama liked this memory because it demonstrated Naruto's ability to change others and bring light to the world. Flashback. Naruto was 8 years old and Mikoto had invited him over to celebrate Sasuke's birthday during one of their training sessions. Unlike his other friend, Sasuke stayed within the Uchiha compound most of the time. He didn't put much effort into hanging out with his classmates and developing those bonds. Thanks to the training sessions, Naruto was the closest thing Sasuke had to a best friend. Naruto showed up to Sasuke's birthday and noticed that all in attendance were from the Uchiha clan. The party was a pretty standard affair, and it was far less lively than most parties Naruto had attended. The only real interaction with Sasuke was when he gave him a set of training weights that he had made personally. He knew that all Sasuke cared about was getting stronger to make his father proud, so he figured a training-related present would make Sasuke happy. Sasuke had given him a genuine smile and thank you. No, the party wasn't what made this day memorable. It was his interaction with Fugaku that made this day worth remembering. Naruto had noticed throughout the party that Fugaku rarely paid any attention to Mikoto aside from giving her commands. He had noticed this during training and other time as well. However, it seemed even more rigid today, which ticked the blonde 8-year-old off. Nobody talked down to his Mikoto-sensei and got away with it, especially since he found out Mikoto was his mom's best friend. After Fugaku had barked at Mikoto for something trivial, like running out of drinks or something stupid, Naruto had reached his limit. He marched over to Fugaku, grabbed his wrist with his tiny hand, and dragged him out back. Fugaku had initially been angry, but that changed to confusion when he saw the look on Naruto's face. He had come to understand and respect the kid after years of training him. Hell, he even went as far as letting Itachi make an oath of brotherhood with him. However, he had never seen Naruto look at his like this. Fugaku-sensei, what did Kami stick up your ass to make you think it is okay to talk to Mikoto back on like that? The anger was radiating off of Naruto and made his voice sound gruffer than usual. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Mikoto is my wife, the Uchiha are a patriarchal clan, therefore she must listen to me and follow my orders. What the fuck is wrong with you, Fugaku-san? You think it is okay to treat somebody you are supposed to love like that? If so, then I no longer wish to study under you. Naruto's voice shook and the extra emphasis he put on "san" really hurt Fugaku. Look here, Naruto-kun. I wouldn't expect you to understand. Fugaku was startled when Naruto cut him off. No, you look here, Fugaku-san. I may not be married but I know what love is. The way you treat Mikoto, Itachi and Sasuke is not love. It is a perversion of your pride. It's disgusting. And don't try to lie to me or beat around the bush, you know about my sensory ability. Now Naruto's whole body was shaking. His features were turning feral, and an aura was materializing around him. Okay, Naruto, calm down. Now is not the time or place for the Kyuubi's chakra. Let me ask you this, what have I done to upset you so much? I have spent years training you alongside my sons. I have brought you into my family. Once again Fugaku was cut off. That. You do that. You call them your family but treat them like your soldiers. You do everything in the name of your clan and because of that you lost your way. You used to smile a lot more, laugh even. You would ruffle Itachi's hair and took pride in him. Some time ago, I don't know exactly when, but you stopped doing that. You started talking in commands and orders like some emotionless military drone. The love that filled your heart gave way to pride and you started scrutinizing your family instead of loving them. Do you know what Sasuke wants the most from you on a day like today? Naruto challenged Fugaku and got silence in return. All he ever wanted was to spend a day with you. All he ever wanted to hear you say you are proud of him. All Itachi ever wanted was for you to see him as a son rather than an Uchiha or a shinobi. All Mikoto ever wants anymore is to catch a glimpse of the man she fell in love with. If you can't figure that much out, then don't bother to come and teach me anymore. I have no need for a blind instructor. Naruto left the broken Uchiha patriarch and said his goodbyes before leaving the Uchiha district. He needed to get away from all that negativity. Mikoto later told Naruto that she had found Fugaku sitting and crying where Naruto had left him. She told him about Fugaku's apology and the changes that all started that day. She thanked him for bringing her husband back to her. Flashback end. Damn, Q. I don't know if that was the memory that I would have chosen to calm me down. Relax, Kit. I have no love for the Sharingan, but they are the only Uchiha to have earned a modicum of my respect. You changed that prideful ninja that day and he has redeemed his family. Have faith, Kit, they will be okay. Kurama said softly in the back of Naruto's mind. Q, I can't help it. I have a terrible feeling and I can basically sense the whole damned battle. We set up this barrier so others couldn't feel the chakra, but I can. I can feel the fighting. It started one-sided because they had the element of surprise, but now it is an all-out brawl. Yeah, Kit. I can feel it too. Their chakra is still strong though they will be fine. 10 minutes of heavy fighting later, for beaten, bruised and bloody figures stood over the rest. Itachi sent the signal flare into the ANBU tattoo and the support squads were moving in. The first to respond was Naruto. He saw the bodies of nearly 50 Uchiha warriors, dead in one way or another. The remnants of chakra and fire flickered around the battlefield. Naruto walked carefully through the bodies and approached Itachi. He noticed immediately the difference in Itachi's eyes. In fact, while Kitsune looked them over for injuries, he noticed that all 4 Uchiha were looking at him with some form of the Manjikyu Sharingan. A chill ran down Kurama's spine when he saw this. Just as Kitsune was opening his mouth to ask if they were okay, a swirl appeared behind Fugaku. Naruto channeled as much chakra to his feet as he could, but he wasn't fast enough to stop the katana that pierced through Fugaku's back. He was only fast enough to catch his falling form. Kitsune's chakra exploded. A shroud appeared around his body with 2 full tails and fox ears. Kitsune was good when it came to fighting the Sharingan due to all of his spars, so he kept his eyes on the cloaked torso of the man. He launched himself at the man in the orange mask. He was baffled when his punch phased right through the man, as if he were an illusion. And Naruto might have thought he were an illusion, if the man didn't mule kick him in the chest and send him flying into the Uchiha tablet. The crunch of bone everyone heard didn't seem to bother Naruto because he got right back up. In a crouched posture, the start of his father's hummingbird fist, Naruto attacked in a more controlled manner this time. He watched his fist phase into the man. As he pulled it back, he was forced to block a strong counter from the bastard Uchiha. Naruto flipped back and watched as Shisui and Itachi tried their own attacks. The man just stood still and let everything phase through him. Once the group had reformed and taken a defensive posture, the man spoke. I was beginning to believe that the 4th really had killed the Kyuubi. Imagine my surprise to find you here. After Naruto snarled at him, he continued, I am not here for you today, Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I came today to measure out punishment for betrayal. It seems that he underestimated the price of betraying Madara Uchiha. Farewell for today, know that this is just getting started, Kyuubi. The man then phased back out in the shimmer of a spiral. Just like that, his presence was gone. All attention shifted to Fugaku who was on his last leg. A couple of ANBU medics had arrived, but there was very little they could do. Itachi, take care of your mother and brother. I am sorry it took me so long to be a father to you. Know that I am proud of you. Fugaku was racked with a fit of coughs and spit out a sizable quantity of blood. Mikoto, my love, know that I will wait for you in the pure world. I thank you for your forgiveness and patience. I leave the clan to you until Itachi is old enough. You are the light that brought me out of the darkness. I will always love you. At this point he was fading out and closed his eyes, but he continued whispering, tell Sasuke that I. With that incomplete thought, the Uchiha and Naruto broke down. They were huddled together over Fugaku's body trying to comfort each other in any way they could. Itachi was hunched down and crying into Naruto's shoulder while Shisui was holding the quivering form of Mikoto close to his chest. The Hokage showed up and organized the cleanup operation. All deceased Uchiha were taken to the morgue and watched by 2 loyal Uchiha guards. Those that took part in the operation were taken to the hospital to have the wounds tended to. Naruto was distraught. He had to watch one of his father figures die at the hands of the same man that took his family from him. The pressure of his chakra had cracked his Anbu Kitsune mask down the middle, but he still had it strapped to cover the tears that were falling freely. Kurama was working extra hard to hold back his chakra so the child wouldn't snap and lose it. The Kyuubi's chakra was naturally drawn to emotions like the ones Naruto was putting off in spades. Team Ro was huddled around him in the Anbu HQ. They remained silent, but present. They all felt like owed the energetic young Anbu in some way. They knew they couldn't leave him alone, but they also knew he had to be the one to speak. Naruto retreated to the comfort of his mindscape and opened the door that took him to Fugaku. All of the time that he had invested into Naruto flashed into Naruto's mind. Naruto owed that man a great debt. He felt the pull from the Kyuubi as he was watching various memories play out. After Kami knows how long, Naruto pulled himself out of the memories and went to see what the fox wanted. Kurama looked down on the boy, his tear-stained face, sobs racking his form and the slumped shoulders. He knew that this was another hurdle that the child needed to overcome, but he needed the child to calm down. His chakra was leaking out and he needed the boy to get it under control. Kit, I am sorry for your loss. That Uchiha was slightly better than most. I am not poking fun at him. I was beginning to respect him, and I acknowledge the debt you owe him. Naruto looked up, barely able to make eye contact with the fox. I don't know what to do. I am not strong enough to fight Madara. Whatever we threw at him just went right through him and then, wham, he just clocks me. Itachi and Shisui too. I am so frustrated, I am so angry, my heart hurts so bad. As he was speaking the Kyuubi's chakra was taking for around him. Kit, come here and sit. Come into the seal, it will be easier for me to control my chakra. Right now, you are entering level 1 in the real world. You need to rein it in. Tell me, Kit, what did you say to me the second time we met? This question caught Naruto off guard. It made all the chaos in his mind and heart pause as he tried to remember what Kurama was talking about. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I will become the Hokage. I will never give up. I will never go back on my word. Mumbled Naruto through the raging storm that was his mind. Yes, Kit. That is what you said to me. That is the standard I am holding you to. Do not give up. The first loss is hard, I still feel the pain from when the sage left us. But what did your Hokage tell you that a shinobi is? What does it mean to be a shinobi? Realization dawned on Naruto. The storm that filled the sky over the seal dissipated into a cloudy sky. A shinobi is one who endures. A shinobi is the one that can move past pain and hardship to accomplish his mission. That's right, Kit. I don't agree with a lot of your human ways, but that is a way I can respect. Now, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, are you a shinobi? Are you going to become the Hokage or are you going to disrespect all the effort that Ningen put into you? Are you going to bring peace to the shinobi world, or are you going to give up, go back on your word and let me eat you? Kurama never thought that he was any good at this sort of crap. I mean, I am a biju created to absorb human hatred and cleanse evil from the land. Yet here I am helping this human, my jailer. Father, please. Let this boy be the one. Thought the Kyuubi as he watched the life return to Naruto's eyes. The deep, dull blue brightened into their normal azure color. Thanks, Kurama. Thanks for being my partner. I don't know what I would do without you. I can feel Team Ro freaking out, so I am going to go deal with that. Thanks again. Naruto fist bumped Kurama's paw and left the mindscape. Outside, Team Ro was looking at Naruto and they were in battle postures. They had seen the Kyuubi cloak sprout up out of nowhere and they were concerned. Hell, they were terrified. They didn't want to fight the Kyuubi inside ANBU HQ. The chakra spike had drawn the attention of a couple more ANBU teams, so Naruto realized he was surrounded. Kitsune, is that you? Asked a hesitant Inu. Hi, Inu Taishu. I was losing my shit in front of the fox, and he helped me calm down. His chakra is naturally drawn to those kinds of emotions, and he couldn't stop it from getting out. He talked to me, and I feel better now. I am going to go lay down. The whole room watched the boy get up and casually walk out of the room like nothing special happened. Nobody knew what the fuck just happened or what they should do. So, they all collapsed on the couch before deciding to just get on with their day. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Guys, make sure to help the author by visiting the link in the description. This is Fox Sage, and I'm signing off.